The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
And while the celebration is going on, guys to the ground, that's Cole Custer getting back up now. But a fight going on down there, Dave.
And they're still at it down here. Custer's been pulled out of this mess here. Custer and Reddick walked towards each other, and then the confrontation started. A little name calling, a lot of shoving, but neither the driver of the 2 or the 00 happy with each other.
Welcome to episode 131 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, there was, I don't know if you listened to Dale Jr.'s podcast this week, but he gave us a little tidbit on the broadcast, or about the broadcast, that Sunday before the race, they were supposed to send it back to the booth to show the booth guys getting ready to go, get ready to broadcast the race. And the plan was that Burton and Jr. were going to be rolling around on the floor fighting. Or no, Jr. and Letarte. And Rick Allen was supposed to be in the corner sitting with his knees up, like shaking, rolling, rocking back and forth. But they didn't get the warning when they were going back on the air, so instead it was all of them on their phones. But
Great. That would have been more exciting than what happened at the Xfinity fight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a decent fight. So
It was a good. A decent scrap. There was.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a
some
fight.
There was some bruises and whatnot, but yeah,
it wasn't a fight. I mean, we haven't had a fight since. I mean, we had the fight at the Daytona 500 way back. We had the what was it? John West Townley and Spencer Gallagher fight.
The hug contest.
Hey man, there was a WWE move put on in that one.
Yeah, that was just 2 teddy bears. That's all that was.
I mean, we had the swing from Kyle Busch to Joey Logano, and we've had a lot of hugging and pulling and tugging. We really don't get much in the way of fighting.
No, wasn't it Marcos Ambrose and Casey Mears? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah,
remember that?
I think so.
That was a cheap shot though.
I mean, and then we got Clint Boyer and Ryan Newman. We got, I think maybe one of the better ones, which we never got to see, was Jimmy Spencer and Kurt Busch.
Boyer and Jeff Gordon is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Only because of the build-up, but they didn't really fight. But it was a thing. There was a thing.
Yeah, we got Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon, which Jeff Burton was a guest on the podcast for Dale Jr. last week, and they talked about that a little bit. That was interesting.
There was the Tony Stewart, Joey Logano. I'm gonna bust his. You know what?
Yeah, but there wasn't a fight. There was a bunch of guys they were getting held back. There was no fight.
Like I said, it's always a hug contest.
So one of the things, and I will start with the fight, I guess, because there's not a whole lot to talk about with it. So no penalties issued as a result of the fight. Steve O'Donnell said on Sirius that he didn't expect there to be any. Of course, there was talk about not so much the drivers being penalized, but the crew members being penalized for jumping in because there was some blood as a result of crew members. And Reddick was kept on the ground significantly longer than Custer.
And
that's something
I didn't like the crew member stuff.
Yeah, it's something NASCAR's been trying to stop. And I was listening to, I think it was Moody talking about it on Sirius. And, NASCAR's in a tough spot because, they don't want to penalize these guys for this. They love this. They're going to replay this over and over again, and it's going to be great for promos. It's great for ratings. Yeah. It's good stuff. But they don't want it to be hockey either, to where they're like, okay, everybody stand back, let them fight. Because you don't want to encourage fighting either. So, right. I mean, really, NASCAR's between a rock and a hard place. The biggest thing is you want to penalize the crew members, but if you penalize the crew members, you kind of feel like you got to penalize the drivers too. So, I don't know. I'm glad I'm good with the no call, and I guess it's one of those things that if this happened every week, then NASCAR would have to step in and do something about it, but it doesn't happen that often. I mean, it happens a lot more now than it used to. But
the playoff intensity always ratchets it up a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean... So I'm good with it. I love it. I'm good with it happening every week, to be quite honest. But I forget, somebody said on one of the shows or whatever, they said the track promoter that they were familiar with, it used to be if you got in a fight in the pits, you got suspended for the rest of the season. If you got a fight in the front stretch, you got free tickets to the next week's races. So
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like Bowman Gray.
Yeah, that does sound about right. Yeah, the Madhouse.
So there was some fun stuff that happened in the Xfinity race, but we're here to talk about the Cup race. So let's talk about the Hollywood Casino 400, Kansas Speedway. Denny Hamlin gets the win.
Rate, man, elimination.
Yes, elimination.
I can't believe we didn't start with the elimination.
Well, and you know what was great about it is so many times we get the hype gets up, and then we watch this race, and everything goes back and forth, and then the guys who we expected to get in end up getting it anyway, and that didn't happen this time.
Yeah.
Who would have thought going in that Brad Keselowski was going to miss the round of 8?
I tell you what, man.
Without let me say, who would have thought that Brad Keselowski was going to miss the round of 8 without one of the 4 that were left out winning the race?
Right. Yeah, the way it went down was weird. But this happens every season. Somebody you think is supposed to go through,
right?
They find their way out of it. It happened to Truex a couple years ago. It happened to Larson a couple years ago. These guys, they find a way to miss the cut. And man, Brad Keselowski, what a bummer.
Yeah.
What a bummer for that dude.
You know what the biggest bummer is that Brad Keselowski, I mean, he wasn't great in this round. Obviously, not good enough. But 2 guys who had just like abysmal rounds, being Chase Elliott and Joey Logano, make it in.
Yeah, they survive. I think Talladega does that too. I mean, it leads for some gaps there, but yeah, Logano and Logano had a miserable day at Kansas, probably a worse day than Brad if you consider how it went down before everything at the end.
Right.
That last caution really ended Brad's day. But Logano was in that wreck too.
Yep.
Just was able to save it, and I got one more restart to make a couple of spots up. And man, disaster of a round. I thought Chase Elliott had a disastrous round, and he showed us why stage racing is so important, especially when it's coming down this late and you're fighting for those last positions, those last points to get you to the next round.
Right.
He scored 15 stage points that gave him, and of course, second place finish. He crossed the finish line and still thought he didn't advance.
Right.
The crew had to tell him, and that's how, but that's how crucial those stage points are. You run well during the race, you get rewarded for it.
Yeah. So you have in the notes here, Denny Hamlin got to be the title favorite. I was going to ask this because maybe Denny's flying under the radar for me. Obviously, he's been a favorite of mine. I know he is, but and I guess maybe it's just the way NBC's been covering it because they really haven't been focusing on Denny much. Mm-hmm. Because when he wins, he dominates. But man, I just feel like it's hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I'm going to go with this. See, Kansas and Homestead have some similarities.
That is true.
He flat out dominated this one, and he's heading to the place he loves the most.
He is.
So if he goes back to back, he wins Martinsville. Dude is set up for one heck of a run. This could be. We've talked about it, Eric. I think we've talked about it all year long with him. Like this could be the last chance for him.
Oh, this is the last chance for Denny Hamlin.
He's racing so smart, so well. People were kind of giving him crap about that Jimmy Johnson thing. Giving him his lap back at the end of stage 2?
Right.
I go the other way because that's just lessons learned. Denny Hamlin has had a hard road of championship failures over his career.
True.
And if he's making friends out there, that's on purpose, man. He is calculated this year, and he's going for it. I love it.
So I have a question about that move because it was Dave Mooney talked about it on his show this week, and I kind of agree with Dave on this one. A lot of people said, sign of respect for Jimmy Johnson. Sign of respect. Is it? Because I think it's kind of a slap in the face to Jimmy Johnson.
Well,
if Denny Hamlin thought Jimmy Johnson was going to beat him in that race, he's not giving him that lap back.
Right, but he's also not racing Jimmy Johnson for a championship either.
Right, but he's saying to Jimmy, you can have your lap back. I don't have to worry about you anyway.
Well, if you're giving somebody...
I don't think Denny meant it that way. Yeah, but if I'm Jimmy, I take it that way.
Well, sure, but if you're giving somebody a lap back like that, they're not a threat to win the race anyway.
No,
not in a mile and a half.
Not always. I mean, sometimes they are.
It's not like he's giving him his lap back at Martinsville, where everybody's a little bit closer and they got a shot.
But that's what I'm saying though, because let's say that's Kyle Busch, and take out the teammate aspect of it, that's Kyle Busch. You're not giving Kyle Busch his lap back.
Probably not,
because he's going to come up and beat you. That's what I'm saying. Is that he's saying that Jimmy's less of a threat. He's not worried about Jimmy. Jimmy's not going to come up and win that race, which he's not wrong. That's not a wrong assessment, but it's, to me, if I'm Jimmy Johnson, I don't take that as respect.
Yeah, but here's another caveat to that. Let's say he's racing people for position at Homestead. There's probably a better chance he's racing Jimmy Johnson for a spot on the track than he is, and lots of other drivers out there.
Maybe.
So that could come into play at Homestead, where Jimmy's not racing for a championship and is probably more willing to give him a spot.
Like I said, I don't think anybody took it as a slap in the face. I don't think it was intended. I don't think it was intended as a slap in the face, but I think it is.
I don't know. I don't think Denny's thinking about it that way.
No, he's not thinking about it at all. No, he's not. But I'm saying that's why he's thinking the way he is, because Jimmy's not a threat, and he's just confirming that.
Well, if Jimmy was in the playoffs, that he wouldn't have got that lap back.
Probably not. No.
But I know what you're saying. I just don't. If nobody's thinking about it, how can it be a slap in the face?
Because it is. Because that's just how it comes across.
I mean, we're just stacking up the Jimmy Johnson of today to the Jimmy Johnson in his apex, which isn't fair.
Well, maybe it's not a slap. Maybe it's not a slap in the face to Jimmy Johnson from anybody, but it is acknowledgement that Jimmy Johnson's not a threat.
Well, Jimmy Johnson, no, I mean this is going to be a slap in the face. Jimmy Johnson hasn't been a threat for 3 seasons.
I know, right?
And anything.
It's crazy. Still can't believe that.
I know. It's the truth.
Yeah.
He's as much of a threat to win right now as Paul Menard.
That's true. It's kind of crazy, but it's true.
Sorry, dude. I mean, I love Jimmy and everything. I hope he wins again.
I think he has more potential to come back and win some races than Paul Menard
sure.
does, though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. But
if you put Jimmy Johnson in a JGR car, you think Jimmy Johnson's winning races? So do you think it's the car, or do you think it's Jimmy?
Probably. Well, no, I don't think so. Chase Elliott's finding ways to win.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott's winning races and advancing in the playoffs. Why can't Jimmy Johnson?
It's true. It's a good point.
Jimmy Johnson's a better driver than Chase Elliott.
Very good.
So
point.
There's something going on there.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with you.
Jimmy Johnson's past his prime though too, man.
Yeah.
And when it slips away, it slips away. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Happens to everybody.
Yep.
Happens to all of them. They've all had it happen.
Yep. There's a reason that people don't race successfully in their 50s unless you're Mark Martin.
There's a reason Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, all those guys aren't racing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony could have went a little longer.
No, I don't think so. He was done.
Rusty could have went a little longer.
I think Tony went 2 years too long, probably.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, Tony. The problem with Tony, and now we're really on a tangent. Tony just did too much.
We got to stretch out the podcast.
Tony didn't focus on NASCAR enough. He was already checked out of NASCAR before he was done.
Well, he's about expanding the empire too.
Yeah.
He was doing something that he didn't need to race either. Oh.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we mentioned Brad Keselowski and his disaster of a day. Brad Keselowski misses the playoffs. You said, 3 points for Brad?
He missed it by 3 points. Yep.
I think that's a big shocker, but like you said, we tend to get that. Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Clint Bowyer, William Byron were the ones we lost at the end of the round.
No other surprises there.
Nope. So, Brad
Keselowski won Kansas in the spring.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing they just went completely backwards. Now, that being said,
his car was not dominant in the spring. He led 12 laps.
Well, and we also, this package was new in the spring.
Yes.
We didn't know this package in the spring.
Yeah, and he was winning races in the spring. That team has looked better earlier than they did late.
Right.
But then again, we were looking at his stats before we started the podcast, and he ripped off a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th in the previous round. So I don't know what the heck to think about the whole thing.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. How could anybody not like the system?
Oh no, it's great.
Come on, this is excellent. Like there is no more debate. I don't think there's been any debate on this podcast in quite a while, but there is no more debate that the stages are not the best thing for us right now, and that this point system is not the best thing for us. I think all around this is excellent.
Yeah.
And I will even go so far as to say, we still got a few races left, but pluses and minuses, NASCAR has gone in the right direction with this package, with the aero package.
I'm still on the fence.
It's the right direction.
I'm still on the fence.
Nah, it's the right direction. It was brought up, it was mentioned on the NBC broadcast on Sunday that so many times in the past, somebody would pass the leader and then run away. And that wasn't happening. No, there was not side-by-side battles constantly for the lead, but that guy behind him was in reach. And then you see things happen. It happened to Brad Keselowski at the end of the race. It happened to other drivers during the race. You lose momentum and you drop like a rock and you lose a bunch of spots. And that makes the intensity, you can't lift, you can't let off. You get situations like the Xfinity race on Saturday where the leaders are coming up to a lap car and they can't slow down. They have to hit the lap car because if they slow down, they lose ground. Because, the Xfinity...
Kyle Larson was not having it. And who'd he dump? Was it Joey Gase?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't lift because you're going to lose too many spots, and I think that's a good thing. Is there room for improvement with this package? Yes, definitely. We're not going to see it next year, obviously, but we'll see it with the Gen 7 car. And I think NASCAR knows the areas to work on. It's not perfect. I think I still would love to see this package, the low horsepower package on all the tracks, and not just the big tracks, just to see what it would do on a short track. But otherwise, I think it's, again, not perfect, better than what we had.
Yeah.
So, you got to hear in the notes, Chase showing the importance of stage points. Definitely. I mean,
we talked about that just a little bit, but man, it's so evident that you have to run well. You have to run a complete race to advance in the playoffs. And when Chase Elliott needed it most, he ran a complete race, finished second, earned 50 points. I mean, it's nearly a perfect day for him, other than getting a win.
Yep. And with that, Chase Elliott jumps to 6th in the points now, right? And
Yep, he's 6th. He is, let me see, Joey Logano is...
Well, that's the best one. Joey Logano's 4th.
Yeah, Joey Logano's 4th in points. He's on the bubble. He's got a 2-point lead on Kevin Harvick, which Kevin Harvick kind of an underdog going into the final rounds here. But it's... I mean, here's a question for you. Does JGR get 3 into the final race at Homestead? I think we had this conversation last year with Stuart Haas. This is a little bit more realistic, though, I think.
Yeah, I think they could. I mean, I think
they've got the 3 best drivers.
Yeah,
three best teams right now. It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though with this system is that 3 of these positions could be determined by race wins.
Yes.
So if anybody in that top 8 wins one of these races, which you have guys like Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick could do it at any point. Kyle Larson could do it at any point. Blaney has been shown, he doesn't have a ton of wins, but he's been shown to win races you don't expect.
Showing some speed.
So, I mean, those guys could ruin this. I would not be surprised to see Chase Elliott get a win in these next 3. 2 of the tracks at least.
He'll be good at Martinsville. He'll be good at
Phoenix too.
Yep.
So those are 2 really good tracks for Chase. What the heck is the other track we go to?
Texas.
Yeah, I don't care about Texas. But I mean, Texas is a Harvick track,
That's going to be,
Texas
and
could
Harvick will be good there.
Texas
Truex.
could be a Larson track, maybe.
Truex could be there.
Is Larson good at Texas? I can't remember.
Well, the reconfiguration of Texas leads to some...
Yeah, it's kind of hard to look at statistics.
Yeah, but Larson does like those big sweeping turns, and you go into 1 and 2 at Texas, and it's very similar to what he likes to run. So
right.
I could see him being a threat. I mean, he led 60 laps at Kansas too, so he's figuring out this 1.5 mile package.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot can happen in these next 3, but barring that, yeah, I think there's a really good chance. I wouldn't be surprised if Denny gets a win in the next 3. Wouldn't be surprised if Truex gets a win. You would think Kyle's going to get a win because he usually wins.
Let me give you Kyle Busch's playoff finishes really quick because he's not been great.
No, it's been terrible. He's getting through on playoff points.
Yeah, and that's been his saving grace.
Yep.
So Las Vegas 19th, Richmond 2nd. He led 202 laps. Let that one get away, but that was his only good race. The Roval 37th, Dover 6th, Talladega 19th, and then he rebounds last week at Kansas to get 3rd. He has not been great, not been terrible, but he's been mediocre, and he's been just kind of floating by. But that's why you win that regular season championship too.
But you know what the best part is? He's now the points leader.
He's back. Yeah,
It's a complete reset for Kyle. He's now the points leader again.
Well, and it's deserved. I mean, the regular season champion, if they are able to carry through the playoffs, should continue to have some sort of an advantage in each round, and that Kyle Busch has earned that.
And he has a 4-point lead over Martin Truex Jr. in second. So
A close gap, though. I don't think I can't recall the leader being this close to the cutoff
right
now, because he's only 16 up on Joey. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Man.
Really interesting.
Yep.
Let's see what else to talk about with Kansas. Heck of a wreck. Bubba Wallace losing the wheel.
Yeah, that was crazy. The hub broke off at the hub.
Yeah. Create all that excitement at the end of the race. If it wasn't for Bubba and his wheel, we might not have had the exciting finish. Kansas lives up to its playoff hype. Good race again. Mediocre first two stages. I would say, the second half of the third stage was really where the race got good, but it was a decent race. Question is, next year it's not a cutoff race. Does Kansas mean anything next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's still
I think you lose the intensity big time with it not being a cutoff.
Yeah, I mean, the Roval is such a great cutoff that Kansas is almost a letdown.
Yeah, that's true.
But that spring race at Kansas was really good. If they can find ways to keep that racing, to keep its level up high.
Lots of restarts.
Yep, and restarts, and this rules package has shown that restarts are where it's at for this. So
I would say the biggest winner on the weekend at Kansas, Denny Hamlin dominates, gets the win. Chase Elliott managed to get second place, races himself back into the playoffs. A lot of good storylines here, but the winner of the weekend at Kansas Speedway is the guy who pushes the button to bring the caution out. Dang, man, I don't know how in the world you hit that button that fast. I thought there's no way they got that button pushed. No way the lights are on. And sure enough, they get the final restart because the caution was on before Denny took the white flag. So
and that caution's what pretty much ended Brad's shot.
Yep.
What a crazy amount of circumstances.
You got to give it to Joey Logano too. Joey didn't have a great day, and they battled all day to be able to squeeze their way back in. And again, now they're back in, on the good side of the bubble.
Yep, got a chance to repeat. He's still alive.
Yep. So definitely an interesting race. It's a good time to watch, and there we go. We head out of Kansas. Move on.
Going to Martinsville.
Yep. One more round to go, and then we head to Homestead. So
for the final time.
Yes.
Homestead's final championship race.
Yep.
Such a bummer.
I know. We'll be back at Homestead again really soon after the.
I will never. I don't think I'll forgive NASCAR for leaving Homestead. We'll see.
We'll see if Phoenix ends up being a good race for a closer, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe what makes it good is the fact that
that's the final race.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep. Jinx.
Yep. Couple news items, not a whole lot in the news this week. Pretty quiet. Daniel Suarez looking more and more like he's going to be in the 41 car next season. Interesting note in this little piece on J-Ski, which came from NBC Sports, but if you click on the link, it doesn't go to the article, so I don't know exactly where it came from. But
NBC Sports, I believe.
Yeah. So the talk is that there is building sentiment at Stewart-Haas to delay Cole Custer's moving to the Cup Series till 2021 when they expect to debut the next-gen car. I think that's interesting because, it actually makes sense. Why bring a guy up to learn a car that they're not going to be running?
True.
It might not hurt to leave him down there one more year, get him some more experience in that car, and let him race in something that'll build his confidence some more, and then bring him up when everybody's on a fresh page.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah. So
that was kind of our discussion with the Ricky Stenhouse news was, go out there and wreck them, right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter. So yeah, that's an interesting take.
Yeah. So, but apparently talks with Eris are going well, and it's looking more and more like he'll be in the car. So, good for Daniel Suarez. Gets one more year to prove himself.
Yeah, I am surprised that Stewart-Haas is running it back. I really didn't think they would run it back, but they've got. Is that 3 guys on 1-year deals, or is Almirola multi-year? I
can't
know
remember.
Boyer's a 1-year deal, and I think Almirola's a 1-year deal too, if I'm not mistaken.
They just signed an extension with Smithfield and Almirola, didn't they?
Yeah, maybe it is
can't
yeah,
remember.
you're right. I think that is a multi-year deal. That might be a multi-year deal.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, so a year from now, we'll be talking about Suarez and Boyer again.
Yep.
Because
Yep. Exactly.
they're not running it back again. This will be the last time.
Yeah. Another interesting piece I stumbled across on NASCAR.com, just searching for anything possible for news. So there's talk early in the season about how Alex Bowman had finished in every position in a race except for first before he won his race at Chicagoland. Of course, Bowman did that during the period of 43 cars, so he also finished 41st, 42nd, 43rd. But now that the field is 40 cars, there are several drivers that have finished in every position in all 40 races. Ryan Blaney, or in all 40 positions. Ryan Blaney added himself to the list this weekend at Kansas. So here are the drivers that have finished in all 40 positions: Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, Paul Menard, Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Martin Truex Jr.
What a club!
I know, right? One position remaining. Eric Almirola needs to finish second, and he will have finished in all 40 positions. And then let's see.
There are 12 Cup Series championships in that club.
Right. David Ragan also. David Ragan needs to finish 9th, and he will
that's
get
not
into that
gonna
club. Right. Drivers.
He's about to retire, so
Yeah. Drivers with 2 positions left. Austin Dillon needs to finish 2nd and 40th. Brad Keselowski 28th and 40th. Kyle Larson 22nd and 32nd. And then 4 positions remaining. Matt DiBenedetto 1st, 3rd, 10th, and 11th. Chase Elliott 25th, 26th, 28th, and 40th. And Eric Jones 20th, 28th, 32nd, and 37th. Let's see. Drivers who have never finished in 40th place, in last place. William Byron, Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace. However, Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski both finished beyond 40th back before there was only a 40-car field. So
what a great statistic.
I know.
Wow.
It's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's really grasping for straws on like news, but it's interesting.
It is interesting. I never would have thought about this.
Right. And
until you dropped it in our lap here on the news.
And NASCAR has an actual graph on the page that shows you all the positions these drivers have finished and what positions they have remaining. All the drivers that are not rookies. So very interesting. Definitely worth checking out. The link's in the show notes. TheSuperspeedway.com if you want to check out the notes. There we go.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
That's the news.
That's the news this week.
Yeah, unless something popped up on Twitter while we were talking. That's it.
Well,
that's
I'm sure tomorrow after the podcast drops there'll be something.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
That's usually how it works for us. We get through the podcast and then we take a look and we're like,
right.
I missed something.
Nothing for penalties this week. Eric Jones's team had a lug nut penalty. That was it. So that's it.
That's it.
There we go. I don't have a Do We Care topic, so let's preview the first day to 500 for Martinsville Speedway. Back to the short track, last short track of the season, unless you count Phoenix, which I don't. Going to be a good weekend, I hope. I think we'll see a good race at Martinsville. James has me down with Denny Hamlin as my pick, just assuming that I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin. But I'm actually not going to pick Denny Hamlin. I'm going to leave this one for you, James.
All right, I'll take him.
Because, all right, you're taking him?
I'll take him.
I'll
If
give
you're not
Denny.
taking him, I'm taking him.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that Chase Elliott built in the momentum with a second place finish last week, and Chase gets his win. And I want to see them battling door handle to door handle, rubbing fenders to the finish line, just as a repeat from what we saw back before the year that Denny dumped him.
Yep. And last year, man, what a race last year was too. You know, was he won the battle. He ain't winning the war.
Yep.
Martin Truex line.
Yep.
That Joey Logano ended up winning the war.
Yeah,
So-
I think we'll see a good finish in this one. And you know what? I think history repeats itself. If we have Chase Elliott leading and Denny Hamlin second, Denny is not dumping Chase this time. It's not going to happen.
No,
There's no way Denny will do it again.
No, Denny has shown some growth here.
Well, Denny didn't like the negative attention he got for that.
Well, he got creamed.
Yeah, he did. He did. No way he does that again. Now, somebody else he might dump. If his teammate Kyle's up there, he might dump Kyle because that would get him some cheers. But
That would be hilarious.
So there we go. Dark horse. James has got Matt DiBenedetto already put down.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Let's take.
I don't know that DiBenedetto is the pick, man.
Let's take a gander. Just I left him up there just in case we wanted to copy and paste him because his last name is such a pain.
I know how to spell it now. I've typed it enough times.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna go a little bit different. I'm gonna go with Chris Buescher.
Chris Buescher.
Yeah, I'll go with Chris Buescher.
I think I spelled that name right.
We should mention some of the drivers to keep an eye on. I'm just looking over the last 4 races, but Kyle Busch, average finish 2.5 over the last 4.
Hey, do I get to make my pick yet before you go and do this change in the topic?
No, I am just making some notes here. Go ahead. You go ahead and make your pick.
All right, I'm taking my dark horse. It's going to be Daniel Suarez. Got the new contract coming. He gets to announce it in Victory Lane this weekend.
There you go. Oh.
Going out on a limb. He's got a good average finish there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's high up on the list. He's only run 5 races, but he's good.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and go on your tangent.
No, just the guys who are good here are champions in the sport. Kyle Busch, Truex, Keselowski, Harvick. Those are your top 4 drivers over the last few, and then Denny Hamlin's right there. So, but no repeat winners over the last 4 races either. But we've got a nice mix. Joey Logano, Bowyer is one here, Brad, and Kyle Busch. Brad Keselowski's got to be really. I mean, this hurts even more because he's so good at Martinsville too.
Right. You guys probably can hear my dog trying to bust through the door right now.
Oh, Bella's coming in.
Yeah, she's trying.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Anything else with that?
I was just going to say, too, Brad Keselowski's led almost twice as many laps as anyone else, other than Joey Logano's led 373, and Brad's led almost 600 laps. Again, this is just the last 4, but again, Brad Keselowski's probably kicking himself because he's coming to a place that he's really good at. He had probably had a much better shot to make the championship for Homestead.
Help me out here, James. I know that this is probably a really easy answer, and hopefully you know the answer right off the top of your head. I feel like it's happened, but I can't remember it happening. Have we had a non-playoff driver win a playoff race since the system was implemented?
Boy, I don't have an answer for that one.
I can't remember. I swear it's happened, but I don't know who.
It has happened.
I feel like it's probably like around Talladega or something.
Matt Kenseth comes to mind at Phoenix. At ISM
yeah,
Racing.
You're right. And Jeff Gordon did it too, didn't he?
Jeff Gordon won. Because Jeff Gordon won and locked himself into Homestead in 2015.
Yeah, you're right.
But the only one I can really remember is Matt Kenseth winning because that should have been his swan song, and then he decided to come back. So
that's right. Yep, you're right. Okay, good. I thought it had happened, but I couldn't recall who had done it.
He was an eliminated playoff driver, so I don't know how you would want to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, I mean active drivers in the playoffs. So yeah, I was just gonna say Brad Keselowski would be a pretty good pick to. Are you serious, dog? My dog is now playing. She never plays with squeaky toys. She never plays with toys. Now she's gonna do it because she's out here.
She knows the pod's coming to a close.
Yeah, right. So Brad Keselowski would be a good pick this weekend too, for sure. All right, Fantasy League. James, I don't even want to talk about it, so go for it.
Yes. So we had for the first time in a long time, we had a change at the top. So we are Ranger Runyon has been in the lead since I want to say probably almost Daytona, but he is no longer in the lead. We have, excuse me for a second, Justin 713 now in first place. And then Ranger, and then Freight Train, Hurricane Dicka, and then me and you, man, 5th and 6th. But I'm chasing down Hurricane Dicka. I'm less than 20 points behind, so it's probably as high as I can go in the points. And then last week, just a quick rundown of last week, Justin 713 crushing it.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about last week.
And then I was in second. Dicka, Scoters, Freight Train, KB Show, and Ranger Runyon.
Garbage. This whole thing is garbage.
I do have a playoff bracket update.
Are we all just like sucking now?
No, we're all really good.
Okay.
Only 2 people have lost Final Four drivers. You're gonna love this. You.
Of course.
You lost Brad. You had Brad.
I had Brad in Final Four.
Yep, and then our patron Ben. Ben lost Kurt Busch in the first round.
Okay.
And then we have a tie for first in points. So we were all tied after the first round. But now a gentleman who joined us named Steve, he is in first place, tied with me at 85 points. And then we have a bunch of you guys down there at 80, but points ratchet up here going into the Final Four. And we got a nice mix. So it's gonna be a little different once we get through Phoenix.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for putting those together, James, because yeah.
Man, that's what I do.
I'll give you credit. Shout outs this week. I had one that I stumbled across today when I was looking for audio for the intro. NASCAR's YouTube page. They had featured on their main page. So we give a lot of credit to our buddy at Barron Speedway with his setup and everything, the track that he's built. But there's a big group of people on YouTube that do these stop motion NASCAR races.
Oh, I just saw this. Yeah.
Which one of them did it at Barron Speedway at the track. I don't remember what series it was. I want to say it was the F-Flag series or maybe. Anyway, so the M&M Cup series is one of these stop motion series, and he does a really good job with his tracks. They look very cool. They look very accurate to the actual Cup tracks. They're not to scale though, so they're scaled down a ton. But they featured a thing on the NASCAR YouTube channel of the M&M Cup Series doing the stop motion to the end of the Kansas race with the NBC broadcast behind it. And it's pretty cool. And I just think it's cool that these guys are getting featured on the NASCAR page.
It's cool. They did it for Talladega too. I did see that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's cool. It's something that they kind of picked up on. I think Elijah Whosoever's been doing, has been pushing it on his social media too.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I come across it from time to time.
It's really neat. Like I've stumbled across it before and watched like way more than I should and gone like, why am I watching this? It's dumb, but it's not. It's pretty neat. And as somebody who's done stop motion before, it's really challenging to do. You have to have a lot of patience. And it takes a long time to do, a few seconds of footage, and these guys are doing 15-minute long broadcasts.
And they're doing it quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
the race was on Sunday.
Yeah, check that stuff out. It's pretty neat. And like I said, I stumbled across it because I was looking for tracks like Barron Speedway before I knew Barron Speedway existed, because that's been something I've dreamt of other people doing this. Because it's been a dream of mine to do. I just don't have the ability and the patience and the drive to sit down and actually do it. I've just been living through Barron Speedway instead, which has been great. So yeah, it's pretty neat. So check that stuff out. There's a lot of neat NASCAR stuff. And they say that the kids aren't interested in NASCAR, but there's plenty of them doing it. And then some of these guys are older than you think they are doing it. So pretty neat. So I said so a lot in that, James.
That's
you got
awesome.
anything? You got any shout outs?
Real quick. So we have it on the schedule, kind of, but we're pretty much locked in with our patron Ben, who's signed up and he gets to be on the podcast with us.
Yep.
I've been having pretty much weekly conversations with Ben via Twitter, just kind of getting his thoughts and opinions, and I really enjoy that. So Ben keeps sending them our way. But Ben's going to come on the podcast with us before Homestead.
Come
I think
hell
we're
or
gonna do a
high water,
championship preview.
we'll make it happen.
We're gonna.
I didn't get a chance to test
Eric
out.
confirmed it to me during.
Yeah. I didn't get a
was
chance to
just
test
say
out. We're talking over each other, James.
Go for it, man. You go.
I think Skype might be delaying us, and that's why we're doing this. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to set up everything that I wanted to set up tonight to make sure it works. I know it works. I just need to get the right settings. But we'll have it figured out one way or the other. We'll get Ben on before Homestead.
Yeah, no, he's really excited to do it. Big fan of our show, which we really appreciate, and can't wait. He's a big Denny Hamlin fan.
Oh, man.
So yeah, it could be really interesting over the next couple of weeks to see how that plays out. But
Nobody told me that before I approved this.
You're right, right.
Now we like that.
So, but we're both looking forward to it, and can't wait to get that part of the show on there. So it's gonna be good.
Definitely. One other shout out for me. It's just the weekly shout out to Dale Jr.'s podcast. Richard Petty on this week. Excellent episode. So really cool. If you like the history of NASCAR, check that out. Petty's got some pretty good stories, and it was interesting. Really interesting.
Yep. Good deal.
All right. With that, James, where can they find you on social media if they want to talk to you during the week?
at James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperSpeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperSpeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can go on there, check out the past podcasts, show notes, links to the articles we've discussed, coverage of past races, all that. You can find it at thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Music, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you found it today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. And if you want to be like Ben and be a part of the show, visit us at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. There's all kinds of different tiers there. You can help us out, become a part of the show, get involved a little bit. It's pretty cool. We don't expect you to do it, but if you want to, do it. We appreciate it. And with that, we go to we went to Kansas Speedway already. We go to Martinsville Speedway this weekend. Are we finishing under the lights this weekend? I don't think it's supposed to finish under the lights.
No, not this year.
Next year we are. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I believe that's how it's going.
Hopefully there's a big cleanup or something. We got to finish under the lights because it's awesome to finish under the lights at Martinsville. No rain though. Let's keep the weather good. We don't want any of that crap. We want to race on Sunday. So with that, we'll be back next week to talk about Martinsville and talk about the rest of the playoffs. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.